Kia ora, hello, and welcome to a new episode of Play Notes, the podcast where we give you the lowdown on the plays and playwrights you think you should know. I'm your host, Emily Duncan.
And I'm your other host, Allison Horsley. We are both dramaturgs, aka script advisors, story consultants, drama demons, narrative nerds, etc., etc. So this is the first of 3 episodes where we're going to be talking with amazing playwrights, all wonderful wahine, who all have some sort of connection to Ōtepoti Dunedin.
That's right.
So do you want to tell us about our fabulous first guest?
I will, and she's a very fabulous first guest and has a very fabulous bio to go with it. So buckle in, folks.
That's right.
Abby Howells is a comedian and writer originally from Dunedin. In 2014, she completed her master's degree in script writing at Victoria University, where she received the Brad McGahn Award for film writing for her screenplay Standing Up. Standing Up has gone on to receive 3 rounds of early development funding from the New Zealand Film Commission. Abby's work as a playwright includes Benedict Cumberbatch Must Die, 28 Days, a period piece, Attila the Hun, and White Men. She has received writing commissions from a number of organisations including the New Zealand Science Festival, the Dunedin Arts Festival, Young and Hungry, and Radio New Zealand. In 2019, Abby received the Peter Harcourt Award for Most Promising Playwright at the Wellington Theatre Awards, and in 2021, White Men received a nomination for Best New New Zealand Play. Abby's solo comedy show, the piece we're going to be talking about today, HarleQueen, premiered at the New Zealand Fringe Festival and has had subsequent seasons in the Dunedin Fringe, Adelaide Fringe, Little Andromeda in Christchurch, the New Zealand Comedy Festival, and the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. The show has won a number of awards, including the weekly Best Comedy Award and the Emerging Artist Award at the Adelaide Fringe, Best Comedy at the Dunedin Fringe, and the Festival Director's Choice at the 2021 New Zealand Comedy Festival. Abby currently resides in Auckland, where she'll be talking to us, where she works as a comedian and writer. She has performed on 7 Days, Comedians Giving Lectures, Guy Montgomery's Guy Mont Spelling Bee, and that New Zealand drama television institution Shortland Street. Abby is the recipient of the 2023 Billy T. James Award for her show La Soup Go. And this is our conversation with Abby.
Enjoy.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Abby. You've been doing some amazing things since we last saw you here on the ground in Ōtepoti. I caught your interview with Jesse Mulligan a few weeks back. I was driving around in the car. I thought, this is really good prep.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been interesting. I've been on Shortland Street. I joined Ferndale for a while. I've been doing a lot of stand-up. Yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Any chance, have you written on Shortland Street before, or you've just been on it?
I haven't. I've just been on it. I was the new IT girl.
Oh, okay. Any chance of a longer plot line for you there?
I'm not dead, so
okay.
Maybe.
It's always a possibility.
And even if I was, that's not necessarily a deal breaker.
That's true. It is TV drama. Yeah. Anything is possible.
And so the really big piece of news, which occurred a few weeks back or a month back, and after it was announced, I said to HJ, our producer, I don't know if Abby will still be available to talk to us. You won the Billy T Award, which is just amazing. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was very well deserved.
Oh, thank you.
And we would all like to take credit for it as well, because many of us saw it here in Ōtepoti, at least for the beginnings of La Soup Co.
In terms true. Yeah. The first time I did it was in Dunedin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think huge credit to Dunedin.
And we're really proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was. It meant a lot to me, I guess. I think because I had stopped doing comedy and then come back again, and to be in my 30s as well, and to. That was a dream I thought I probably wouldn't happen. So to come back and do it was pretty cool.
You did it. And so your work that we're going to talk about today, the particular script, is very closely tied into these themes. So in preparing for this episode, I pulled the show description off Event Finder.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So HarleQueen is the play we're going to be talking about. And so on Event Finder it says, in HarleQueen, Abby Howells weaves together stories of female comedians from history with their own tales of triumph, foolishness and heartbreak. In this award-winning show, you'll laugh, you'll cry, and you will not be impressed by Abby's ventriloquist skills, but she will do it anyway. And I wanted to use that as a jumping off point for this episode about the ventriloquism and the sort of marketing aesthetic of the play. You had this really neat video I saw it on Facebook, that was in that old silent movie style. Can you talk us through a bit how you came to land on that aesthetic?
Oh yeah, I think it's like I hadn't been doing stand-up, so I hadn't been on lineups. And traditionally, you build a stand-up show through sets. So you work on 10 minutes, and once you've honed that 10 minutes perfectly, that's locked into place, and that's how you build a traditional stand-up show. But I wasn't doing stand-up. I was an absolute mad dog and just decided to do an hour-long show of material that was like completely untested. And I think at that stage I was like a lot more theatre, much more in the theatre world. So I think I approached it like you would a theatre show, which is like you would have I don't know, a performance, like theatrical elements. And I sort of wanted to thematically link the women I was talking about into the show. And one of them was a ventriloquist, and one of them was like a vaudeville type performer. So yeah, that was my impetus for it. And yeah, I thought I was going to be really good at the ventriloquism. My idea was that I would get really good at it, and they're going to be like, "Mama mia, she's so talented."
And it was just going to be a quick feature of the show?
Yeah. And Anya Tate Manning, my director, was like, "You're kind of average, and you've either got to be really good or bad. You can't just be average." So I decided to be bad. And it was featured in one of my favorite reviews in Edinburgh. They said the ventriloquism section was more peculiar than funny, but she seemed to like it.
I was wondering, do you have an origin story for Eric? Was it Eric, the ventriloquist puppet?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just I think initially my plan was like, I'm going to show everyone all my sweet skills. So like I was going to sing, and I do dance in it. I dance in it, and I did have a song that I did in it as well. And so I was going to be like, I'm going to be so impressive with all these skills I can do. So I bought a ventriloquist dummy off Amazon and like watched YouTube videos. Yeah, I wanted him to look like the Phantom of the Opera, so I got the one that was in a suit. Yeah. And then I met him, and now he lives in a cupboard because I can't quite get rid of him because we've been through so much. We've been to Edinburgh together and Adelaide.
Was that an issue when you're checking in luggage, or your luggage gets scanned and they said,
Yeah, was he in your checked luggage, or did he come in the plane?
He was in my carry-on.
Okay, good. All right.
I couldn't get him. There's actually a video of me getting pulled over by security, and then they're like opening it up, and then there's a dummy in there. And I also have to explain like I'm not good. I'm not a professional with this. I just have him. But it looked like a child.
I imagine if it went through the x-ray, what that would look like. If it x-rayed like the whole body form. Yeah.
This is taking a dark turn.
Yes, it has. It has. Well, so I'm curious with HarleQueen, was it did you intend for it to be autobiographical in nature, and then you wove in these aspects about, these other comedians? Like, or was it like the comedians and then the autobiographical stuff was woven in? Like, I'm sort of wondering where the spine of it is, or if it evolved.
I wanted to. The impetus behind the show was I wanted to come back and do comedy again, but the mantra that me and Anya said was on my own terms, so in my own way. And for me, that was storytelling and theatre, which is what I was doing at the time. And so I always knew I wanted to tell my own stories. And I'm quite interested by like comedy history and comedians and stuff. So I identified the ones that something about their story, there was echoes of it in a story of my own. So for example, Jane Fool was like a female jester in the court of Mary. Oh no, was she? Yeah, Mary the First. She was and the theme of hers was, did she know that people were laughing at her? Was she in control of the laughs or not in control of the laughs? Mm-hmm. And then for me, that connected to a story of doing Jerry Seinfeld impersonations at school camp and just absolutely dying in front of my peers, but one teacher laughing. And at the time thinking, well, you know, at least she gets good comedy. But looking back, I don't think I was really in control of that laughter. I think she was probably laughing more at a 10-year-old just bombing in front of her peers, doing really earnest Jerry Seinfeld impersonation. So yeah, I would find women and then sort of find where I could, if there was a story of mine, or if their story kind of brought up any stories of mine, and then selected the ones from there that I felt like I had a bit of a connection with.
At the beginning of the play, you mentioned Jerry Seinfeld as a early influence, and I think there was one other male comedian. I'm scratching my head. But my question around that is, do you remember, was there a first time that you saw a woman comedian and that was your aha for going into comedy?
I think...
Or how you might approach comedy?
Yeah, I think the person that sticks out the most would be Susie Idiazard, because I think she was doing things, she was so unlike anyone else and just doing things completely on her own terms. Like, and she was like me, like she liked history and she'd come out and do stories about like, I don't know, she'd make the Trojan War funny and the Bible, and I'd really never seen anyone like that before. But I didn't really think, and French and Saunders was another one that me and my sister used to watch all the time. But I didn't want to be a comedian. I didn't really think it would be possible for me, because even the women that I saw, they weren't really like me. I was kind of different. So it didn't really click until I did it for the first time. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Because I'd always wanted to be a performer, but I don't know, I didn't seem that great at acting or dancing or singing. But I was like, I have something. Like, I can tell when I'm on the stage, people are kind of looking at me. I have something, but I don't know what it is. And then I did stand-up comedy, and it was like, I think by being myself on stage is the best for me, rather than being a Daniel Day-Lewis informative actor.
Do you write it in your head and then write it on paper, or do you type it out and then memorize it? Like, how do you sort of develop your, I don't know, I guess your text or your sets, and is development of your sets the same way you develop your plays?
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I talk out loud usually, so we'll work it out talking out loud. I don't know if you can read in it, but I write it exactly as I say it, so including like ellipses and pauses and funny words and that sort of thing. So I would talk it out loud and to work it out, and then write it out exactly as I'm going to say it, and then memorize it as a monologue. And I think that was kind of also sort of a nerves thing as well. I think as I've gotten more experienced, I don't stick as strictly to the monologue, because I've learned that audiences actually quite like it if they can feel that you're present in the room as well, that you're not just kind of reciting. That's why if something happens, like something falls down or someone comes in late and you comment on it, people will laugh, even though it's not really funny. But they'll usually laugh just because it's an acknowledgement that you're in the room as well. And so that was how I built that show. And then I went to the Edinburgh Fringe and did it like 29 times in a row. And the main thing I took away from that was like, I've got kind of something here, but I don't have mastery of the craft of stand-up comedy. Like I was watching these other comedians and they were just in total control of the audience. and I didn't have like really tight joke structures. You almost are teaching the audience when to laugh. So that was the thing I really took away from the Edinburgh Fringe. And then for my next show, I built it through stand-up sets. So going out to the Classic or any of the worst bars in Auckland and testing my material, but writing with that tighter structure of setting up an expectation, then shattering the expectation, and then toppers tags. And I was against doing, I think when I did HarleQueen, I was like, I'm not that kind of comedian, I don't do jokes, I tell stories. But I think you don't lose any of yourself by putting things into those structures, and you just increase your laugh count. And you also make the audience feel more comfortable, I think. Like, I think it's Jerry Seinfeld who said that when you walk, the audience is like an airplane and the comedian is the pilot, and they want to know that you can land the plane. When you walk out there, you're like, I've got this. I can land the plane. Don't worry about it. And I think having a really tight structure really helped me with that, my confidence. I can almost predict, even if I haven't done a joke, that it's going to go well, just because if you put things into that structure, it works, which is wild. But yeah, for HarleQueen, I just used to storytell and talk out loud to myself, and then show it to Anya, and she would give me notes, and then I'd refine.
Because that was going to be my next question, how this process of writing HarleQueen maybe was similar or different to other script workshops and rehearsals. Did you go into the room with a full script and say, hey, we're polishing up this piece?
Yeah, I think I actually really approached it like a play. Like me and Anya had, I would write it like a script, and then with a story almost of following my journey to comedy. And then I'd go in, and me and Anya would have a workshop, and I'd do the whole thing, and then we would analyze it like you would play it, like, what stories are connecting to the themes, what moments are connecting to the themes, can we draw out even more connections throughout, and how do we make this climax hit better? And so I think, it's kind of funny because in some ways I don't consider it a play, because no one else could do it. Well, if they did, it'd be really weird, because they'd be sharing intimate details of my life as if
they'd be playing you.
Yeah, which is pretty weird, but it was very much developed like it was a play.
So I was going to sort of jump ahead to, I think one thing you handled really well in the script in particular is this idea of humiliation, that comedy, to my mind, can't exist without. But how do we manage it both as a performer, as the performer off stage, for ourselves and for, whoever is the subject of the humiliation?
I think that ties to who's in control of the laughter, or whose laughter is it?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, because on one hand, you're like the clown, the big clown loser who's sharing all the stuff, but also you're in control of the room and you're the one who's talking. So it's kind of a funny dynamic. And then you're the most powerful person in the room. And then that can be immediately undone if anyone heckles you. So it's like a really interesting position to occupy. For me, I think it was Anya who said to talk about things that were a scar and not a wound. So, you can talk about things that were traumatic or difficult or embarrassing if you have enough distance from it. And if the audience can see that you're fine, you've moved on enough that you're talking about this, then I think that's actually really powerful. Well, that's what I like in comedians. When you see comedians talking about their mental health or a tough time that they've gone through, but they're okay. Like you can see that they're okay. They've worked through it. They're here on stage and they're talking about it. For example, James Acaster, Cold Lasagna, I Hate Myself, 1999. He talks about a really tough mental health time that he went through. But to see him talking about it, it is sort of inspirational, because you're like, he's okay. He's all right. He went through it and here he is. He's with us and he seems to be doing well. So I think that was an important part of it, to talk about stuff with distance. I also don't really make fun of myself for things. I don't really put myself down too much, because if you put yourself down for things, you're also putting down anyone that relates to you in the audience. So I try to, I mean, like, I do embarrassing stuff, but I don't say I'm a big I'm a big loser idiot. But I'll talk about something embarrassing that I did. But my hope is that, because you can see me and that I'm up here and I'm fine. I look good as well. I always try to look good, to have a nice outfit and stuff on that. They can see, she's all right. Yeah. So, yeah, but it's definitely a really interesting position to occupy.
I was trying to remember. So I saw the production you did in Dunedin.
Of HarleQueen?
Yeah, of HarleQueen. Upstairs at the university bookshop. We were talking just before we started recording that space doesn't exist anymore, because it's all been redeveloped. Yeah. And so reading the script that you sent through, the version of the script, I was trying to remember if you had gone into more detail, be more explicit at the end about the incident.
Yes, I did. Yeah, so in the script, I talk about a time that I was going great guns with stand-up comedy, and went up to Auckland to do some gigs up there, and then was sexually harassed by a fellow comedian when we did a lineup show together, and then I stopped doing stand-up for like 7 years after that. And yeah, I did go into more detail. I think that was just a bravery thing, first of all, that I myself didn't feel that comfortable talking about it. So I just kept it really vague. But I think I made the choice to become more explicit with it, because I don't know, I just wanted to share it, really. I wanted to say exactly what happened, and yeah, I don't know. I wanted to. I just felt compelled to share the specifics, I guess. So the audience got a sense of what it felt like and what actually happened. Yeah, I guess I just got more comfortable on the stage and more braver to talk about it. But I didn't love it. Like, every time I got to that bit, like in Edinburgh, I'd be like, oh, even though I was doing it, night after night, I'd still be like, oh gosh, this bit. And then I really didn't like talking. Sometimes people would want to talk to me about it after the show. Oh, I've said everything I want to say about it. And so for my next show, I was like, just for this one, I just wanted it to be really silly. Nothing like that in there. But yeah. So it was interesting. Yeah, I'm glad that I did it, and I'm really glad that I shared it. But it wasn't easy. I didn't like doing it.
Do you think you'll continue to develop this particular show, or do you think HarleQueen is done for you?
I think it's done for me. I've done it so many times over 3 years. So I was performing it for 3 years. It's just quite a long time. And I also feel like when I was in Edinburgh, to smash it out in Edinburgh and do those 29 performances, it felt like I was done with it. And by the time, I'm quite different as a comedian now. And I just didn't want to necessarily be known as the person that was harassed. I wanted to kind of step forward and not carry that with me anymore. So yeah, I owe HarleQueen a lot. It meant that I got back on the stand-up stage again, but I feel happy to have left it behind me now. And yeah.
And Kate Schrader, your producer, travelled with you to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Was Anya with you as well?
No, I wish, because she's the best. And I'm sure she would have loved to, but she's very busy being an acting teacher at Ōtepoti. So yeah, I would have loved her to be there. It was wonderful having Kate. but yeah, Anya is such a big part of the process of the script. Like, she's not only the director, but she dramaturged a lot. She was a really big influence on it, and just a really big influence in me getting up and doing it again. Anyway, I don't think I would have done it if it hadn't been for her. So yeah, I saw her doing her show, My Best Dead Friend.
Yes.
And she talked about obviously really tough things in there, and I thought that's what I want to do.
Very well matched.
Yeah. So she directed my next show as well, along with Hannah Smith, and again was just amazing. And
who's also from Dunedin.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we were real Dunedinites. And she was there when I won the Billy T in that audience, so that was really special to have her there as well. To come full circle. Yeah, it felt pretty cool to go from, performing this show in a bookshop and desperately hoping it would go okay. And I mainly just didn't want to humiliate myself with HarleQueen. Just the metric for success was like I had won from the second I walked out on stage, like just from getting back up and doing it again to winning the Billy T was, I felt pretty proud of myself, I guess.
And we were so proud of you as well. Yeah. You absolutely did not humiliate yourself. And so we're about to wrap up. But before we go, Abby, we've got 4
burning questions
to ask you quickly. All right. Number 1. What is the one thing about playwriting that you could only have learned in practice?
I think what's funny, what's going to work on stage. You can have zinger lines that don't hit. And I think the thing that you learn in practice is they've got to feel like they come from the character, that it has to feel like something they would genuinely say. And I think getting a sense of comedically what's going to work, you need to see it. You need to sit in the audience and see what's working and what's not working.
Number 2. What is something you never want to see or hear on stage again?
I mean, the obvious would be like, racial slurs. But I guess for comedy, a show that's like 5 men, 5 white men and 1 woman who plays their secretary, and she gets none of the funny lines and just sets up jokes for them. And
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Number 3. Do you see your connection with Dunedin reflected in your writing? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's not that many people from Dunedin in Auckland. Like, there are a couple of people that studied there, like Josh Thompson and Matt Heath from Dunedin. Tony Lyle studied here, but I guess Jeremy Elwood would be the other one. Oh, and James Musterpick. But I think coming from Dunedin, because we're kind of outside the main centres, I sort of feel like you're kind of a flower growing in its own its own way. So I feel like I've developed a little bit of a unique voice that if I'd been around other people, I would have been more influenced by them. So yeah, I think definitely. I think on a documentary about the Chills and Martin Phillips, I think it was Graham Downs who said that Dunedin's like a sort of cauldron, like it's quite intense, and it's by the sea, but even the sea is like quite aggressive. It's not like a Malibu beach. It's like can be harsh, and so I think that's definitely reflected in being quite tough and being quite unique, I think.
And your final question, a writing habit or superstition you care to share?
Golly, I guess my big one would be always writing forwards. So that's what one of my my writing mentors, Gavin McGibbon, said to me, was because I was writing my first screenplay and got really caught up in everything being perfect. Like, oh gosh, I can't move on to this scene unless it's perfect. And he told me to just write forwards, and then you have something, you have some clay to mold. So I think once something's done, I do a lot of drafts of things. So
But just keep moving forwards.
Just keep moving forward. You just need to get to the next scene, and then once you have something, then that's amazing to have something.
That's a great note to end on.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Hey, Abby, thank you so much, and it's just lovely to see you.